Alright, and welcome back to episode 48 of the Alec Frengos show. This is a sports podcast centered around NBA and NFL. And today I'm joined by Jay Price and Joey Price. And first, we'll just go ahead and we'll start with the offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year predictions. And I'll lead with you, Jay. Who's your offensive rookie of the year?
Yeah, for this one's kind of tough for me because I feel like there's so much skill in the draft. But I think it's going to go to one of two quarterbacks, inevitably. And I'm going to go with, I think, the underdog right now. I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels. I don't know. I really like his game, and I think that he's going to be dynamic right off the bat. And I think he's going to – so I think the Commanders as a whole will surprise a lot of people, and I think he'll be at the head of that. So
Did you say your Commanders record prediction on
I
here?
don't think I did.
Can we get one?
I had them at like 7-10 or 8-9.
Wow.
Which I feel like is pretty good considering
Okay,
what
so
people are thinking
high
about
on
them.
him.
So saying that, do you think that will be enough for him to win offensive rookie of the year? Say the
Unless
Bears,
the Bears
make the playoffs.
Unless the Bears make the
okay.
playoffs. Which I don't think they will. But, I mean, I think I think 9 and 8 miss the playoffs.
If Harrison has a crazy season as well,
It's just so hard
they
for him,
just
but
lean QB every time.
I think they always do, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Jaden Daniels, okay, that's a surprising pick for sure, but I don't hate it at all.
Just because I have the Bears in the playoffs, even though they're the 7th seed, I'm going to say Caleb Williams. Just he's in the perfect situation. If he has 3,500 passing touchdowns and limits his interceptions, then he'll get the award. But if he doesn't make the playoffs, I think the award will go to Marvin Harrison.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm right with you there. I think it's just Caleb Williams' award to lose because all the hype and stuff, and the Bears people, including me, think they could actually compete for the playoffs. And I mean, they make the playoffs, and he's gonna be a main reason why, right? They haven't had a good quarterback since probably the time we've started watching football. So it's all dependent on Caleb Williams making the playoffs, and then if he doesn't, I don't hate Jaden Daniels, like if all the rookies are out of the mix.
Yeah.
But I think Harrison's going to be super explosive with Kyler Murray as well this year. So I'd lean Harrison if I didn't say Williams, but my pick will be Williams for sure. Kind of a scratch pick here. Yeah. The second one is wide open, defensive rookie of the year. I think there's a lot of options you could go here.
Yeah.
Corner, defensive line, edge. Who's your pick, Joe?
My pick is Leatu Latu.
Okay.
I think he's the best pass rusher coming out of college last year, and he'll be starting this year. The Colts kind of have some good pass rushers, so I think he can mix in well there, and he's most pro-ready coming in.
Cool.
I think I'm just going to go with the favorite. I think it'll be Dallas Turner. I think just because I think he'll play the most off the bat, like he'll play right away. And I think I wasn't a huge fan of him out of Bama, but he's so talented, and I feel like he'll have a bunch of sacks, and that's usually what they judge it off of. I feel like it's hard for even D tackle. I feel like it's hard to win. Like corner is basically impossible unless you have a sauce type season where you're just insane. Because the voters usually look at sacks and all that stuff, forced fumbles. So I'm gonna go with him. But I think in terms of a guy who I think is be an underdog, I'd probably go with Byron Murphy on the Seahawks. He's pretty good. And their interior's been lackluster the last few years.
Okay.
And I think he has a big opportunity to, help that defense turn into something special.
And then it's Sweat who's on the Titans, right? Tre'Davion Sweat?
Devondre Sweat.
Devondre Sweat, sorry. For me, this time, I agree with you. I agree with Jay. Dallas Turner. Flores likes to blitz, and Dallas Turner, as talented as he is, he'll probably be one-on-one the majority of the time.
Yeah.
As a rookie as well. I think he could be good for 9 sacks maybe.
Yeah, that's what I think.
He's super talented. Obviously out of Bama, they produce behemoths at every position. I just think it's going to be one of those years where in defensive rookie of the year, your team doesn't have to be good. Like if you're a talented player, you're going to win it, and people are going to realize it just based off interceptions, sacks, pressures, etc.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Dallas Turner for this one, but if I were to pick a backup here, I'd actually go Quinion Mitchell from the Eagles. When the Eagles are rolling and Quinion Mitchell's like a big part of this defense, and he's going to have a chance to guard some good receivers, 1s and 2s, a mix with Slay. If he locks down in prime time and has big games and stuff, I think people are going to give him kind of a nod here to as a defensive rookie of the year. Do you have like a dark horse sleeper?
Dark horse? Maybe Nate Wiggins if he starts and
Stays healthy.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
That's a
I
good
think
one.
he'll get enough reps.
Hopefully. Like, Baltimore doesn't have much depth at corner, so he should see some looks.
Yeah.
It's just if he can stay healthy and stay in the lineup.
You didn't like that secondary last year.
No, I didn't.
Do you like? Is it better this year? Would you say?
Eagles,
I didn't take a look at it.
it's definitely better.
I mean, like, it's gonna be good, but on paper, it looked really bad last year. Rocky Sin, cornerback too. It's like Lamar Stevens and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's still not great.
Who's on the chart? Humphrey,
Hamilton,
Who's the
Marcus
nickel?
Williams.
Millette.
Yeah, Millette. It is pretty good. And then the other corner is Brandon Stevens, who's
Brandon Stevens. Sorry, I said Lamar.
okay.
Stevens. He's alright.
He had a bad rookie year, but
He's a decent backup.
yeah.
Do you have a sleeper looking at it?
I said Byron Murphy. I was gonna say.
Wait, sorry.
I feel like
Byron
all
Murphy.
all the corners. It's
Sack.
like it's so hard.
A lot of sacks or TFLs. What are you feeling?
Both, I think.
He's a big run stopper, right,
Like
Murphy?
5 or 6 sacks.
He
And
can
then a bunch
jam
of
it.
TFLs, yeah.
We can just jump right into it here. AFC South. The division that was called super boring last year, but now
No, it's good.
a couple risers into this division. Number 4, Joey.
Number 4, I got the Titans at 5-12. Seems pretty harsh, just kind of looking at it, but
Yeah.
I have them here just because they have Levis as their QB. He's the worst QB in this division, and they have a new head coach who is not proven. I'm not totally bought in.
I'm not either.
And what kind of the direction is of this team, because it seems like there's putting a bunch of, good free agents together on a team. But I don't think it works that
Kinda what the
easy in
Commanders
football.
did.
So 5 wins, they definitely could win up to 7, 8, but just kind of the division they're in, I have them at 5.
For me, I do this every year. I predict a tie. Titans 4-12-1. Like you said, it's harsh.
Mm-hmm.
They got a bunch of great people. Ridley, who you could say is washed. They got Hopkins, Trent McDuffie.
Yeah.
Sorry, L'Jarius Sneed, Cheetah Awuzie from the Bengals, like Jamal Adams, who is washed. You got tons of pieces on this team. I just don't know if it's gonna work though. Like, it would be I don't know if you'd be surprised. Like, it wouldn't. I'd be like, oh wow, they did have a really good season, and Will Levis took a huge jump. If this team made a wild card, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is like a Texans rise. If Levis breaks out, this team could make a wild card.
Yep.
Hopkins,
I agree.
maybe Treylon Burks bounces back. Ridley, Chiz Okwonu. Just right now, the team doesn't look good. I like the secondary. The linebackers aren't good. The defense is all right. Is Jeffrey Simmons still on that defense?
Yeah.
He is, yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons. Who did I just mention? Sweat
Sneed.
on the D line. Like,
On the D-line, they got Sebastian Joseph Day from the Chargers.
the O line's mediocre.
It's just a bunch of young guys.
It could be alright.
If
Who's
Latham's good,
They drafted
Latham.
Latham, and then they have
they got
Skoronski.
Cushenberry from Denver. He's okay. And then Dylan Radunes and Petit Frere. It's a mediocre O-line.
It's mediocre.
I'd say still below average. but-
Yeah. But no, this team, I feel like my record prediction is based off their floor.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to give the Titans that much upside. 2-3-1 in the division. I think they tie another team in this because this division's always whack.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I feel like this is the one division where you could have it in almost any order.
You could. I
wouldn't
100%
disagree
agree
with anybody. I unfortunately have the Titans as last two. For when I made
What are you
mine.
giving them?
I have them at 7 and 10 though. Like,
That's
I feel like their ceiling would be like a wild card exit. Like,
Yes.
I could see them being
Yes.
a 6 or 7 and then just losing the wild card
100%.
round. Because like you said, I feel like they have the talent. Like, when you read their team, Hopkins, Ridley, Tyler Boyd, like that's a top 5 receiver trio maybe.
Pollard.
And Pollard could be all right. Like, he's not bad. Their running backs aren't bad. Their O-line's not horrible.
This team isn't going to run the ball.
You don't think so?
No chance.
I don't know. Like, that's another thing with the new coach. Like, I forget his name.
Brian Callahan.
Brian Callahan from the Bengals. Yeah.
Came from Cincy, and he's worked with all these great quarterbacks. I
Yeah.
remember when they hired him, they said, like, Peyton Manning. I think he worked with Rodgers for a year, Burrow. And Cincinnati, they don't pass the ball. It's going to be his scheme. Why do you think they didn't try to keep Derrick Henry? They said they didn't offer him. They're gonna whip this ball with all these receivers. Carry on.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, like this team looks so good on paper. I just don't. I feel like there's just so many like wild cards with this team. So I've had to put them last, but they are one of my favorite teams outside of the Lions. So I really hope that they do good, and I think there's a real good shot that they are. It's just so confusing looking at this team. Like I don't know what they're gonna do.
It is.
They could be the worst team in the league.
I don't know. They could be.
This might be one of the hardest teams to predict.
Yes.
I feel really bad giving them this record.
Same, because I know they're gonna win more games than this.
Yeah.
I know it.
You had them 4-12-1.
Yeah.
And then you had 5-12.
5-12.
Okay.
I
I think
can't-
they'll be higher than both those.
I can see it.
But
I bet you they get 6-7 wins.
I think
agree.
that's what they'll be around. But
I just don't know where to
like
squeeze them
Levis
in.
could be good though. So and if he's good, then
And
If
they
he's
could be
good,
insane.
they can push the playoffs.
They're a playoff team if Levis is good.
Yeah.
Maybe. With the division's pretty good though.
They could be better if Levis breaks out. They could be better than the Colts and better than the Jaguars if they have a bad year. Again,
Yeah.
But Callahan, he knows Levis is a psycho though. Like Levis will be fine throwing it 40 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like he won't care. He could be hurt though too because that guy likes to run wild.
Oh yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3, I got the Colts at 10-7. This team, I think they're just 1 year away from like fully breaking out and being. I think they'll be a Super Bowl contender next year.
10-7.
10-7, yeah. I think Richardson, it'll just be inconsistency this year. You'll have games where he looks like Lamar, and then you'll have other games where he looks like Malik Willis out there.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of hard to predict this team. It'll be weird seeing them, like, on game day. They might win by 40, or they might lose a game you think they'll win by a lot.
Yeah.
But they have talent, and I'm not going to deny that. Just one thing that scares me about this team is the secondary. They could get in a lot of shootouts because there's not much talent back there to cover some receivers, especially some top receivers in their division.
Yeah. For me at number 3, Colts as well. 7-10, a flip of yours. This is a lot of people's dark horse sleeper team. I'm not buying it this year.
No.
I'm not buying it. 3-3 in the division. Richardson basically didn't have a rookie year. He had 3 good games where he looked really good. Shane Steichen's one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, and I think he could be one of the best, actually. There's no way you're going to be a dark horse wildcard team with that type of defense. Like, the Titans' defense is way better than this defense.
Yeah, I agree.
I take it, like, DeForest Buckner, like, is he that big of an impact player still? I don't think so. Latte Latu could be good. Kwity Paye, the linebacker, Bobby Okereke, is it Franklin?
Zaire Franklin.
Franklin. And who's in the secondary? Kenny
Moore and just a bunch of young guys.
Julius Brent.
Julius Brents.
He was getting
Yeah.
roasted
Cross
last
safety.
year. I remember.
Yeah,
There's not much going back.
So no, there's really nothing going on with this team but the quarterback with a ton of upside, and the receiving core seems to. It hasn't. I don't think it's shook out to the way it's actually going to be. Downs or Adonai Mitchell, I think, could break out this year. One of the two into like legit serious wide receivers. Pittman's obviously the one.
Yeah.
I think one of those two could compete with him though. Mitchell slipped, right? But we'll see what happens. I'm just not too high on this team. How others are.
Yeah, for me, my third place is actually the Jags. I have them at 8 and 9. I feel like I've kind of made it known, like I'm not a huge Trevor Lawrence believer on this podcast. I don't really know what it is. I think their offense is good. I think their defense is good, but that's about it. Like I feel like they're just an average team, and I feel like if Lawrence doesn't take another step, then they're not gonna get back to where they were in 2021 when they made the playoffs and won a playoff game.
Luckily.
I just don't. I don't know. I just don't see it unless Lawrence takes that jump, and I feel like I gotta stick with my what
Lawrence
I've been saying.
Yeah.
So I have them at 8 and 9.
Go ahead, Joe. Number 2.
two?
Yeah, number 2. Sorry, yeah. Wait, sorry. What do you have them in the division, Jay?
3-3.
3-3. Would you have the Colts in the division?
2-4.
Okay, yeah. I had 3-3. Go ahead.
Number 2, I have the Jaguars 10-7 as well. I think they'll have a solid season this year. Kind of opposite to you, Jay. I think this is Lawrence's like breakout year. I think he'll be a top 7 QB after this year, and he'll show like why he was that top prospect all the way throughout his like whole life actually.
Yeah, his whole life.
He's a top high school recruit, and then
Stud
he
in
showed why he was
college.
good in Clemson, and he just has had bad luck to start his NFL career.
I think it has been a little bit of bad luck and a
with
little
the
bit on him.
coaching, but last year no excuses. He had a good coach, good receivers, but this is the year he still has ETN, Kirk, and I think Brian Thomas will be a huge help for him this year. I think he could be the best rookie wide receiver this year.
Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a hot take, but he could be up there with Harrison.
I don't
in my
hate
opinion.
it. And Neighbors.
And another thing I like about this team is the pass rush duo, Allen and Walker.
You had Walker breaking out.
I think this will be a tough task for offensive tackles to stop.
They're not easy to throw on either. They can be. They're super inconsistent back there. For me coming in at 10-7, for me coming in at number 2, 10-7, Houston Texans. For me, the team got better, but I feel like it's just going to be one of those things where it's like, this is everybody's pick to win the division easily and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're quick to forget that there are a lot of good teams in this division. 10-7, we can go through the schedule as well. It's a hard one.
Yeah.
Daniil Hunter, Diggs, Joe Mixon, year 2 Bobby Slowick. It's going to be a good team. It's a playoff team. It's just not a division winning team for me. You got to have an upset in there, right? Go ahead.
I don't mind that. My number 2, I have the Colts at 9-8, just missing the playoffs. I like everything about this team. I have concerns with Richardson.
Ooh.
I made this prediction about a week ago, and I didn't want to change it so it wouldn't mess everything else up that I've said. So I've kept it consistent. I think if I were to redo it, I would have them lower. Around, I think you had them 7-10. I'd have them around there. But I don't know. I gotta stick with it again. Like I feel like if Richardson is as good as people think he's gonna be, no doubt this team could make the playoffs.
Yeah.
No doubt. I think they were 9-8 last year, and I feel like almost all their good guys are young. I have concerns about their defense, like you guys have talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. I just don't see. In comparison to every other team in this division, I feel like it's the worst. Like it just sticks out to me as the worst by far.
Roster.
Yeah, like just on like defensive roster.
Oh yeah.
I think their offense is fine. I think what the benefit of their offense is more so just their scheme. I feel like they have talent, but it's just like I think I would take the Titans players over the Colts players. I think it's just the way that they run the offense. Maybe not the O-line, but their skill positions, I would consider it.
Taylor over Pollard for sure.
Yeah.
Pittman or Hopkins right now?
I would
go
take
with Pittman.
I would take Titans receivers as a whole.
Okay, yeah, the whole core, yeah. Well, unless Adonai Mitchell's good off rip, then
but
you could obviously say
it's pretty
Colts.
close, but it's just like their offense will be way more productive just because of the way that it's drawn up.
No, yeah, and people like Richardson's flair more than Levis.
Yeah.
Like Richardson is better than Levis.
Yeah.
This was the debate though pre-draft, right? Who's better?
People assume that it's just like already set in stone. Like Richardson's way better than Levis right now.
Yeah.
And he's played 3 games in the league, and Levis wasn't horrible. Like he wasn't awful. He wasn't great.
He was super inconsistent.
Yeah, he wasn't like horrible.
He had great flashes and he had
Yeah.
horrid flashes.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see what this team too. They're similar to the Titans and me. I have them second in the division. 3-3 in the division, finishing second.
Good. Number 1.
At number 1, I got the Texans at 11-6. So at the end of last year, I was like, okay, no way this team is gonna be good next year. Just because Stroud, I thought he's gonna have a down year this year. I was like, Slowick's gonna be gone. He's gonna get a head coaching job. But just the team around Stroud just got way too good from last year. And they're all kind of near in the same kind of spot, and they're just going to keep growing together. And then they added in Diggs, Mixon, although they might be washed, but
Hunter.
They're going to help and just improve this team even more. And I really like this secondary. It's definitely the best in this division. Stingley is very, very good.
Petrie, who's a corner too.
Kamari Lassiter.
I like
very
him.
Good.
Standout in training camp right now, actually.
So yeah.
Division for you?
3-3.
3-3. Number 1, Jags 10-6-1. I think they tie the Titans in like some weird ass game. I mean, this team, like you said, Joey, I think this could just be a year where we finally get the Trevor Lawrence experience. Like you said, Brian Thomas is going to be the wide receiver 1 by the end of this year. Mm-hmm. I hope Doug Peterson can realize that he's the most talented by far on this roster. Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, who else do we even have there? Gabe Davis. Evan Ingram's a huge receiving threat. I think ETN's going to have a big year this year as well. Count on a big ETN year. Tank Bigsby's a good backup too. He can run it down the gut. It just feels like one of those divisions where when I predict it, they have almost the exact same games. It's just that I think the Jags are going to have maybe a couple game edge on the Texans. I think the Texans are going to go through a rough patch. It went too easy last year for them to just cruise again. I think they're going to go through a bump, maybe a Stroud slump early in the season and he figures it out, or late and they collapse in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. I like this prediction for me. Jags first in the division.
I have first in my division. I have the Texans, but only at 9-8. So I have them grabbing the 4 seed, 4-2 in the division. I just think I think this team's super good. I just think they have a harder schedule this year. They have to play Miami. They have to play Detroit. I know they have to play Kansas City. They have to play Baltimore.
Buffalo.
Buffalo. They have to play a lot of good teams. So and they have to play the Jets too. Like, so many good teams. I think it'll be a good test. I think they're basically a lock for the playoffs in my mind. Yeah. It might be a bit premature because you never know. Like, Stroud could just be bad. Sophomore slumps, like, not just a myth. Like, it happens to quarterbacks sometimes. But I don't know. I think this team's just set up for success right now, from their coaching to their quarterback. I feel like those are the 2 main elements you need in a successful team, and I feel like they have both down to a T, it looks like right now. So I'm excited to see what they do. And I'm excited in general for football in this division this year. I feel like this might be the best collection of games in a division this year, because I feel like you'll never know who's going to win. I think as long as everyone's healthy.
I want to ask you guys a question. In this, the Texans, say everything goes right, and say they win the division, whatever, and they look as good as they did last year, and Stroud progresses a little bit. Do you think the Texans can beat the Chiefs in a playoff game?
I think they
home
can.
or away. Yeah. You think so?
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think the way they run their offense is just so good. Like, I think there's a great chance they win.
I think the only serious threats right now to the Chiefs in the playoffs are the Bengals and the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
Ravens clearly can't beat them. Bills clearly can't beat them. I don't see the Steelers or Browns beating them. I don't see... Maybe the Jets. I'd put Jets at 3 maybe to beat them.
Jets is just a wild card too.
Because if they max their potential, they can win.
If they play in Miami, I think the Dolphins could easily beat them. Because their offense is just so good. I think they could run them over.
Let's run through this Texans schedule here.
All right.
Because I feel like a lot of people would expect the Texans this year just because you automatically glaze, right? Because they had a good year. Yeah. 13 wins, 12 wins. When you go down, you break these down, where these games are, what's going to happen. We know there's going to be a game where Diggs has a temper tantrum. I'm not even trying to be funny. Mm-hmm. It's inevitable. Yeah. He's not going to get and with this receiving core spread out, oh my God, he's going to have some cryptic tweets out. By the way, I just want to put it out there, he's gone after this year. He won't stay in there. So. He won't stay there because, especially if they don't win the Super Bowl, he is not staying there.
He could be a Titan next year too, for all we know. They sign everybody.
Sneaky Lion, wide receiver 2.
No, I can't.
You don't want
I couldn't
him.
handle him. I couldn't handle him. We need receivers right now, though.
That wouldn't be a bad ad though. Like a slightly washed.
As long as he's not like a
diva.
Fucking dick. Like.
Yeah. Let's go through this Titan. You got it, Jay?
I have the Texans schedule.
Okay, what do you got?
They play Colts week 1. I had them split.
Yeah, same. Hold on.
I have them winning the opener in Indy, but
hold on. Let me grab this here.
Yeah.
I think though, in all seriousness, I think Texans roll week 1.
I think so.
I don't think this is going to be like a Richardson shocker.
I think they'll win by like 7.
Is he better than Stroud type stuff? I think this is a Texans roll, like a Diggs touchdown and stuff like that, where you're like, all right, this team's looking good. But let's not get too caught up in it. Win, loss. So, do we have all 3-3 in the division?
I don't.
4-2?
I had them 4-2, yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, so we'll do this.
I think I'm in them sweeping the Titans. I have it different pulled up on my MacBook than my phone, but...
Division 4-2. Okay, Colt.
Yeah, and then week 2 they play Sunday night against the Bears at home. I had them winning.
In Houston?
I had them winning.
I like that as a win.
That's a great game, I think.
Yeah, it's
Bears,
a good game.
Texas.
Right away, Williams, Stroud.
Yeah, and then they play at Minnesota. I had them winning again.
It's another win.
And then at home versus Jacksonville, I had to set them split.
We got the division, yeah.
And then they play at home versus Buffalo. I had them losing.
They're in Houston.
Yeah.
What do you have?
I have Buffalo winning.
Okay.
I just like a random Bills win. I think Texans are better than the Bills, but that's a different conversation.
I do.
And they play on the road against the Pats, which I had them win.
Win.
I had them beat Green Bay in Lambeau.
Do you have a loss?
I have a loss. And
Go
that's
loss.
Okay, go loss on that one. And they play Colts again week 8. Week 9 they play in New York against the Jets. I had them losing.
I have a win.
Week 9?
Week 9, yeah.
I think they
Night
lose that.
game, yeah.
A little bit too cold for Stroud.
And then they play at home.
That's back-to-back. Green Bay, Jets.
Great.
Could be two cold games.
And they play Green Bay, then they play at home versus Indy, then they play...
This is right here.
Yeah. Then at
Packers,
home versus-
Jets, Colts. This could be like a slump right here.
Yeah.
Cold against 2 playoff teams. Then Indy, you lose a divisional game.
Yeah, and then they play at home versus the Lions, which I had the
What do
Lions.
you have,
I had the
Joe?
Lions win.
I have a win.
Win for Houston.
Yeah.
And then they play,
Where is it?
It's in Houston.
That
That'll be a good one too. I'm excited for that one.
Let's just
That's Sunday night again.
that's a great game.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
just
Sunday.
tally it as home team wins.
And then they play Monday night, back-to-back primetime games. They play in AT&T versus the Cowboys, which I had them.
Battle
I had
of
them
Texas.
I had them lose that one as well. So I had them.
I had them win.
You have them winning that?
Yeah.
Well, you had them 11-6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had them 9-8.
Cowboys gonna win a couple big games, especially when it's at home.
Yeah, and then they play Tennessee. First time playing Tennessee this
Okay.
year. Whatever. I had a.
Yeah,
think
I
had
put
them
it down
sweep.
as a sweep. I put it down as a
Yeah,
sweep.
and then they play the Jags again. I had them lose. Whatever. Week 14 late bye. Week 14 is their bye week.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of need it because
Could be good for a playoff team.
Then they play.
This
at
is the
home.
hard stretch, right?
Yeah, they
Mhm.
play at home versus Miami.
In
I have a
Houston,
win.
Yeah, in Houston.
I'll give them the win.
Then they play at Arrowhead on a
Loss.
Saturday, which is really weird.
Christmas.
Yeah, the 21st.
Oh, 21st?
Yeah, 21st.
Christmas is Wednesday.
Oh, just Saturday game.
That's such a weird. I didn't even know they were doing that. I know there's a game on Wednesday this year.
Yeah.
It's like the first ever game on a Wednesday.
Wait, for what? Like a regular season?
Just like
normal?
a random. I think it might
No, it's
be
Christmas.
Day.
Yeah.
Right?
First Friday
Christmas.
game this year.
Mm-hmm.
Brazil won.
Well,
Week
other than
1.
Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Houston plays Wednesday. They play Christmas Day.
That's why they play.
That's insane.
That's why they play Saturday
Yeah.
because they
'Cause
need
play-
a certain amount of
They play
rest.
the
And the
21st.
Chiefs play-
That's insane. They play the Chiefs on the 21st and the Ravens on the 25th.
Where's that game?
They're at home versus the Ravens. I think easily they'll lose one of the two. They might lose both.
We
I'd
have
say they
lost.
split
Okay,
those
we have
games.
lost against Chiefs. We could say win against Ravens,
Yeah, I had that.
And
And, then
they-
last
and
game they finish
Titans.
up versus the Titans, which I had them.
which we had the
whatever
split.
win. I
This
don't know
is
what that is
10-7.
10-7.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just such a hard schedule this year. NFC North great.
10-7.
And then they play NFC North and AFC East,
I've got
which are like two top.
I've got the
three
Texans.
divisions.
If I'm not mistaken, at 10-7. 10-7. 3-3 in the division. It's a fair record prediction.
Mhm.
It's a hard stretch. They go away to Jets, away Green Bay. You will not win both of those games.
No.
They might not
That
lose
won't
both
be
of
that
those.
cold, but it's
They have a better chance to lose both than to win both, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Just because of the degree difficulty.
I
If
think
that
yeah.
that could be a cold game. Week 9, what's that? September, October. That's like early November.
Yeah, that's pretty cold.
Yeah.
Like maybe it won't be snowing, but still.
I mean, it's. I still don't like my Titans. I don't like my Titans
should have them
record.
higher.
Can we go through a schedule quickly?
Yeah.
Titans, sure. Do you have it or do you want me to go through it? You can do it. That's fine.
All right. Week 1, they're in Chicago.
Hold on. What do we have in the division for all of them?
I have them at 2 and 4.
Same as me.
Okay.
Which
Two.
like, oh, I kind of wish I put the Titans like. I wish I would flip my thing. I think if I
Chicago?
redo it, but-
Yeah, they're in
It's a
Chicago.
loss.
yeah.
And then they're at home versus the Jets.
Loss.
They're at home versus Green Bay.
I had them win both those games actually.
You like a sneaky win?
Jets and.
I have a win
Packers.
against Green Bay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tack one down.
Then they're in Miami. I have a
Lost.
loss.
They're going to get
They
blown
kind of
out of the
Miami's
water.
Number. They had Miami's number last year, so
I remember
That's
that
a
game.
revenge
That
game.
was an
That's a
insane
revenge game right there. Is that a 1 p.m.?
No, it's Monday night.
Oh,
I think that's what
again.
it was last year.
Yeah, that's how
right?
they beat them.
It's at
So
7:30.
I like the
though.
Dolphins to bounce back from that game.
Yeah, I had those.
And
Screw
then it's
that.
a bye, and then they're at
Off bye
home versus the
Colts,
Colts, which
7
we
win.
have.
Yep.
Then they're in Buffalo.
Loss. What week?
7.
Yeah. Not too cool. And maybe
Still
yeah.
lose.
Oh yeah, I
Then
forgot
they're-
I'm going to this game. This week 8.
Oh yeah. Then they're in
Lions in Detroit.
Detroit.
In Detroit, Lions
Yeah.
cookout.
Hopefully, that'd be awesome.
Then they're at home versus the Patriots.
Probably a
You
win.
can say a win.
We could say a win, yeah.
Then they're in LA. I have a loss. Chargers, yeah.
They're
That
in
could be-
Chargers. Yeah, I like a loss.
That could be a sneaky 4 p.m. window where you just turn it on the second
Yeah.
half and it's actually good.
Yeah.
Both you don't expect it to be, but it'll be good.
Then they host the Vikings.
I have them losing, but
Oh, that's a toss up. Because that secondary's
Yeah.
good. Vikings like to pass. Just give it a win.
Sure.
Give it a win. Since we disrespected
that'll
them
be
the
good.
first time
Snead
around.
versus Jefferson.
And they go to Houston, and then they're in Washington. I have a loss in Week 13.
I had them
Okay.
lose to the Commanders.
Then they play the Jaguars, and then they're at home versus the Bengals.
The Bengals could be fighting for a 1 seed or they could be fighting
Yeah.
for nothing. So let's just say the game's important. Loss. 5-12.
Really?
Is that what you had?
See, I had them beat the Bengals.
You had them beating the Jets and Packers?
And the Jets and Packers. Like, they're just a team that I feel like they just have, like...
Like, they can beat anyone, I
they
feel
can
like.
beat
They
anybody.
can. They can lose to anyone.
I just don't think the team will mesh
Like, they
well
could
enough
lose to the Patriots at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
For
could
sure.
easily.
They could beat the Packers in Lambeau, was it?
I feel like we'll look back on the schedule and we'll get, like, more wrong than we got right. Because they'll just beat some good teams
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
lose some bad teams.
Look, they beat the Dolphins on Monday night. Probably when we went through that last year. Like,
So-
oh my gosh, Dolphins blowout.
Yeah, probably.
I think the Dolphins do get revenge, though, this year. There's no way.
Yeah, I think so. That'll
I'd
be
be
a high
shocked.
scoring one for them.
Coming up next episode of the year for sure. AFC East, Coach Dylan.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah,
On video call or in person?
in person.
Oh, let's go.
Coach Dylan, AFC East. This is going to be a heated debate because I see how some people stand with the Bills this year. Could see the first ever fight on air.
Good.
We'll see what
That'll
happens.
be good.
Thanks for watching episode 48 of the Alec Frengos Show. We'll see you next time.